Zylara Kordax stood on the bridge of the Vindicator, the flagship of the Zyrothian Confederation's fleet, and stared out at the holographic display. Thousands of ships hung in the inky blackness of space, their hulls glinting in the light of distant stars. This was the culmination of centuries of planning, ever since the day the Zyrothians had encountered their first alien race, the arrogant, condescending Krixis. The Krixis had arrived in the Zyroth system without warning, catching the Zyrothians completely off guard with their advanced technology. They claimed to be on a mission of peaceful exploration and first contact. But their actions told a different story as they began to subjugate and enslave the Zyrothian people, stripping their homeworlds of resources. They thought we were a primitive species, easy to dominate, Zylara said, her tail twitching in anger at the memory. They never expected us to one day rise up against their tyranny. Indeed, Admiral, her first officer Kralik replied. The Krixis underestimated the resolve and tenacity of our people. While they oppressed us, we studied them, adapted their technology, and waited for the right moment to strike. It had taken generations, but the Zyrothians had slowly built up their forces in secret, constructing shipyards and weapons factories hidden throughout their system. They became experts in cybernetics, replacing limbs and organs with advanced synthetic components to enhance their physical abilities. And they had reverse-engineered Krixis technology, improving upon it to create ships and weapons far superior to those of their overlords. When the time was finally right, the Zyrothians had risen up as one, catching the complacent Krixis completely unawares. Within a single, brutal year, they had driven every last Krixis from their homeworlds. But that was not enough for the vengeful Zyrothians. They took everything from us, our freedom, our dignity, our resources, Zylara growled. It's time we returned the favor, once and for all. She gave the command, and the Vindicator's immense spinal-mounted cannon glowed ominously as it charged. One by one, the other ships in the fleet followed suit. On the bridge of the Krixis' flagship Dominator, alarms began blaring. Impossible, the Krixis' admiral exclaimed. Those primitive scum shouldn't have weaponry capable of. His words were cut off as the first salvo from the Zyrothian fleet lanced out, searing through the Dominator's feeble shields in an instant. The mighty ship's hull crumpled like a piece of foil as Zyrothian beams, missiles, and railgun slugs continued to saturate it from all sides. Within moments, the once proud flagship was reduced to a rapidly expanding cloud of superheated gas and debris. The rest of the Krixis' fleet fared no better against the overwhelming Zyrothian onslaught. Caught completely unprepared, their ships were systematically blown apart, their crews eliminated without mercy by the relentless barrage. On the Vindicator's bridge, Zylara watched impassively as the last Krixis warship winked out of existence. "Bring me a status report on enemy casualties," she ordered. Kralik checked his displays. "Based on our sensor readings, it appears we have exterminated approximately 16 billion Krixis personnel across their fleet and colony world." Zylara's lips pulled back in the Zyrothian equivalent of a grim smile. An adequate recompense for the loss of 10 billion of our people during their occupation, I'd say. Though I suspect the Krixis would disagree. "You suspect correctly, Admiral," a new voice broke in over the comm channel. Zylara turned to see the holo image of a Krixis, one of the few survivors, it seemed. "What you have done here goes far beyond justice or recompense. It is genocide, pure and simple. Your race committed the same atrocity against mine first," Zylara replied coldly. "You started this conflict centuries ago when you arrived in our system under false pretenses of peace. All we have done is finish it, on our terms." The Krixis shook his head in disbelief. "Madness, utter madness. You have damned yourselves, declared war on the entire Galactic Council. They will unite to purge your vile." "Let them try," Zylara interrupted with a bark of harsh laughter. You underestimated us for far too long, Krixis. While you sat complacent in your unearned superiority, we adapted. We studied the greatest military tacticians and strategists in known history. We are more than prepared for whatever the Council can muster against us. As if to punctuate her point, streaks of light began appearing all around the Vindicator as ship after ship dropped out of FTL, their hulls bristling with weapons. Zylara's smile widened as she recognized the designs. These were not Zyrothian ships, but those of other civilizations that had suffered at the hands of the Krixis oppression. You are not alone in your thirst for vengeance against our mutual oppressors, came a new voice over the comm. An alien face appeared beside the Krixis, one of mottled green scales and a mouth full of razor fangs. We of the Rylac sovereignty have been waiting for this day for centuries. More alien contacts began winking into existence around the Vindicator, until the flagship was at the center of a vast, combined armada of multiple civilizations, all united by their shared hatred of the Krixis and their cruel dominance over the stars. This is impossible, the lone Krixis stammered, his image flickering with shock and fear. You have turned the entire galaxy against us. No, Zylara replied, her tone now thick with contempt. You did that yourselves, through your arrogance and oppression of countless civilized races. We have simply united those you sought to keep divided and subservient. She gestured to the display, where new holocomms were opening up, more alien faces appearing to add their voices to the growing chorus against the Krixis. We are the Rylori. Our worlds were enslaved, our people brutalized for generations. The Krixis ravaged our homeworld of Hulkan V, harvesting our oceans until they were barren. They destroyed our entire star system when we dared raise a hand against them, killing billions. On and on it went, race after race, recounting tales of Krixis' atrocities and cruelties. Zylara let them speak, turning back to the lone, terrified Krixis survivor. This is the reckoning you have brought upon yourselves, she said, her words dripping with finality. The tides have turned, and now it is your race that will be purged from the stars. Let this be a warning to any who would follow in your footsteps of oppression and genocide. She cut the comm transmission, watching with grim satisfaction as the combined armada began systematically obliterating the remaining Krixis ships, stations, and outposts. The reign of terror the Krixis had inflicted across the galaxy was ending this day, snuffed out by the unified forces of those they had subjugated for far too long. As the last Krixis warship was blown apart, Zylara turned to her crew. Set a course for the Krixis' homeworld. It is long past time they received the same hospitality they showed us upon their arrival in our system so many generations ago. She allowed herself a thin smile as the Vindicator swung about, joining the combined armada as it made the jump to light speed, bound for the Krixis' homeworld. The oppressed had become the oppressors, and the Krixis would learn there was no seed of vengeance more bitter than that sown by centuries of cruelty and injustice. The reckoning was at hand.